by lunch. So first of all, I want to thank the organizers for having invited me, and in addition, I'm very pleased by the fact that we're centralizing events such as this one in Bogota for Latin America. We have experiences with several clients and many corporations wherein professionals headquartered in Bogota manage different corporate real estate branches and different facilities management branches, not just for areas such as the Andean region or South America, but for all of Latin America. And events like this one are the ones we need to continue to develop the facility management culture, not just in Colombia, although mainly in Colombia. Well, this is a weak spot for us, but also for the entire region, and it's a pleasure to be gathered with you here today. The purpose of my presentation is to tell you a bit about the experience that we've had at CITI, not so much at CITI, but rather at a personal level with IFM, what we know as integrated facility management in the region. And I will start off. I think that today, throughout the presentations, we've been able to see how the concept of facility management has evolved from, or at least those of us who've been working on this for a few years, those of us who've been in this market, this business, we know that the concept of facilities management was usually focused on buildings, in taking care of buildings, doing maintenance on buildings, and making sure they were available. Today, we know that this is not. Well, really the focus of facility management today is our users, the people who inhabit our buildings, and of course, those who leverage being there, being in the building. So what I wanted to show you here is basically the four pillars that today we can say govern the facilities management world. Of course, you have buildings. They were the reason for being of this, the occupants, the users, employees, clients, coupled with a set of processes and a technological platform on which the whole model is developed. Now again, facility management. This can't be done without the people. The people are the people occupying the buildings is our focus, but all of us who are involved in one way or another with facility management, this cannot be done without people, and events such as this one and the initiatives that in one way or another David has supported in Colombia, the associations to which many of you belong, whether local, regional, or otherwise, what we want to do by partnering, what we seek by promoting our facility management discipline is to be able to ultimately gain recognition in our profession or our discipline, but also help people, all of our colleagues, to continue to develop and to ultimately provide a better service. Now, in terms of what has been discussed in quite a bit of depth, facility management is a key factor in providing an environment for greater job satisfaction to increase productivity. Of course, this is coupled with increasing the company's results and attracting and retaining employees. Quite surely many of you will remember that maybe 5 years ago or more, the space where you had to work was the space that was appointed to you. And today, as many have said before, with the new generations, the millennials, the technological platforms and the environment that are being developed today, many of the factors that make an employee from these new generations go to X or Y company is due to the work environment or the spaces or the facilities provided to them to perform their work according to how things are being done today. Now I will talk a little bit about the focus of my talk is the evolution of the facility management model, and in particular, according to my history with Citibank, although it is true that in this new stage I've been working for a couple of years, I have a long-standing relationship with Citibank based on the fact that it was my first rapport with facility management. I came from maintenance in another sector, but basically I want to show the evolution of the facility management services in Latin America. As I was saying, Citibank as a company and as a corporation in Latin America is one of the pioneering companies in implementing facility management. Some of you that are present here today, in one way or another, were involved at some point in this story, whereby in somewhere in the 90s or earlier, what David was saying about the services and the cornerstone services have always been there. Originally, everything was done in-house, meaning that all the services that were required within the facility weren't assigned to a specific department, and they were done by the company employees in general. Then, despite continuing to be in-house, department was allocated a certain responsibility. We knew the general services departments or management, real estate, maintenance. Then, as the new outsourcing culture was being developed in organizational cultures, outsourcing of the different services, cleaning, messaging, maintenance, etc., started to happen, but in an isolated manner and in a way geared toward or following the guidelines from management or procurement. Subsequently, there was a boom in the arrival of organizations that specialized in facilities management, and a model known as managing agent was implemented, or manager of facilities, wherein basically it was something innovative in the sense that it gave order to the many services that were otherwise isolated and started to create indicators, to create a framework about the different types of services. But most of the services continued to be contracted directly by the company or by the owner of the real estate. Then, towards the end of the last decade, at the beginning of this one, we started to see principal contractor as a term in facility management organizations, where what they basically do is to transfer part of the responsibility that was undertaken by the corporation exclusively to the facilities management company. And within this evolution, we have what is known as integrated facility management, or an integrated management. When we talked about a managing agent in the case of Citibank, these were the main motivations. As I was saying, we had proven facility management models using outsourcing with renowned companies in the market, but keeping to a set of processes mainly to do with procurement management, with third-party contracting management. These all remained within the organizational structure of Citibank. And considering that we're in a world that requires us to be more efficient every day, to be innovative. At a global level, the bank made a decision to implement the IFM model, Integrated Facilities Management that is, within the concept of principle, but transferring all that responsibility and all those risks that in one way or another are undertaken when you have many contractors, when you have financial responsibilities or liabilities to different vendors, to having a single vendor, an integrated facilities management partner. And here the concept changes because it's not a traditional model where we have a service provider, but we're looking for a strategic partner. And thus, what were the main things we were looking for? To have a win-win relationship. So not just us as a corporation or as owners of the buildings. We seek efficiency, we want savings, etc. We need all these improvements in the processes, but in addition, through developing this model, we also sought to have a strategic partner that is one of the most renowned companies in the facility management world. In doing so, our partner would have to continue to innovate and to continue to be involved, because with the type of agreement entered into, they will receive benefits from it. An important thing, as I was saying, is to transfer financial risks, liability risks, commercial risks, to the strategic partner. So basically, we have listed the principles of the model. This model is based on performance, a partnership relationship with strategic partners. That's how we view our third-party service provider. You have to identify and align the company's objectives with the objectives of our partners or our vendors. Start to think about not of input-based contracts or resource-based contracts, but rather results-based contracts. And thus, standardized processes, controls, SLAs, KPIs, transfer of risk. You can implement models with guaranteed savings from the outset. And as I was saying, you have to incentivize our service providers to be innovative. So this is basic to this model, and I wanted to go a bit further into detail regarding the difference or the evolution between service agreements using input versus output service contracts. And basically, we know of many contracts that specify, for example, in a cleaning contract, I need to have 20 people from this time to this time with these and these tools and supplies, and based on these specifications, I contract the service and I measure it. That's the typical example of an input-based contract. And in the IFM model's evolution, we're supposed to contract expert companies in facilities management. And what I have to say quite simply is I need my spaces to be clean. I need that the availability of my critical equipment is 99.99, or examples of this nature. And the real expert has to come up with a way for these results to take place. So, this way we shift. Usually the advantages of a resource-based contract or an input-based contract is that I have control, I know what the resources are, and based on these resources, you establish a price and it's very easy to control. Nevertheless, when we talk about an output-based contract, first we need to stem from the fact that there has to be a partnership relationship, there must be measurable results, and instead of looking at price, we're looking to generate value, to add value. Of course, this sounds very nice. So what is the key here? Of course, if we want to measure results, we need to clearly establish what we want. And this is one of the main challenges when we try to implement this sort of model. As clients, we must define what we want, and once having defined what we want, we have to define what the performance standard is on which we're going to measure. And through that, our strategic ally or vendor will establish the mechanisms and processes to be able to reach that target. So we say what we want, and our strategic partner or our service provider will implement the tools and processes that will take us there. This way, we want to have service providers leverage their best practices with their knowledge of negotiation volumes, their supply chains. We deposit our trust in the fact that if we did a proper selection process, if we chose one of the best industry providers, and if that added value is there, it should be rendered to us. So how do you establish fees or prices? They're based on the fact that they're based on the compliance with results as opposed to input-based contracts, which simply said I have 10 people cost this or that much, or I'm providing this or that part, or I'm doing X amount of routines and each routine has its own price. Usually in these types of models we establish, this is based on the budget available for the facilities area, we establish a price on which service scope is included, and that price will be impacted by some of the sanctions, penalties, or the credits that can be discounted or charged according to performance. And another significant challenge when these changes take place in the contracting model and the operation model It says that clearly all the things that we were used to controlling, in which we handle directly with the vendors, or even if there was an intermediary that to manage the contracts were actually from our companies. So we know how many invoices went through my desk. We had an exact control on how much we were spending. One of the main challenges is that the people who continue to be in the real estate or facilities organization have to change roles. And one of the things within change management is forgetting about losing control. Control must move towards indicator control, etc. So another of the challenges, the main one in the IFM model is, again, a partnership relationship with strategic partners. Usually, if the specifications of what is desired are not clearly defined, well, the idea is not to leave a lot subject to subjectivity. And we know that the insights are inherent to us as people. So here, this is basic to be able to build a strategic partner relationship and have clearly defined objectives and knowing where we're going. I know I don't have much time, but in the specific process we had in CITI, this new model, which was implemented originally in Europe, and then it was implemented in Asia Pacific, North America, and Latin America. We had a transition during 2014. Some of the challenges we had, we know that any transition is not exempt from challenges. So basically, in CITI's case, we're in Latin America. We had a transition in 23 countries in the region over approximately a portfolio of approximately 1,900 sites over 1.8 square meters, 1.8 million square meters including Mexico, and within that region you can imagine there are geographies where the model or the facility management culture is a little less mature. There are many resistance to change issues. In the different countries we have problems or different realities regarding taxes, regulation, etc. And from the point of view of our people from corporate real estate at CITI or CITI Corporate Services, this whole topic of loss of control is also quite significant. Finally, I leave you with this thought, and the purpose of my talk was not to tell you that this is the best model, nor tell you this is where we're headed. This is sort of the evolution and what has happened in our organization in particular, but basically, what is the proper model for facility management for my company? There is no single answer, and even for companies in the same sector, needs can be very different. And the most important thing is to understand these needs in order to develop a facilities management strategy that is effective and that can add value to the company. As has been said before, and we just heard this a minute ago, we need the facilities management strategy to be aligned with David, It has to be the organization's cornerstone and not just another department. Thank you very much.